Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2 on Blu-ray, Episode 1 of Season 2, The Child. This was actually a really great episode and a good start to Season 2. So Season 1 had some kind of ups and downs, and Season 2, the start, is very, good start, solid start. So I think the show's even starting to pick up after this, even though I don't like that they traded Beverly for Pulaski. But it is very obvious that they try to make Dr. Pulaski out as the hero in this episode. So they introduce her, but also have her do a lot of really cool and heroic stuff so that she can have a good entrance, I guess. Also, this shot is an example of what I love about Star Trek The Next Generation, in that it's doing its totally own thing with new ships and new designs, right? Because it's well after the original series. But they bring in stuff like the Excelsior class from Star Trek 3 and older Star Trek movies, and they just subtly have it in there, look, it's still the same universe. They're paying homage to earlier shows and episodes, but I like seeing that stuff where it just ties it back to the older series. So they're reintroducing us to the crew, because it's been, I don't know the difference it's been between the ending of the airing of Season 1 and the start of Season 2. And with this cool, slow thing. But what is this? Cool, slow, panning move here. But look at this. Look at this bearded beauty right here. My beard is in honor of his beard in Season 2. Look at this. A bearded Riker is a good Riker. So there's been multiple personnel transfers.
We're ready to get underway.
Grand. Take a look at the containment module our chief engineer has designed.
Chief engineer. It still has a nice ring to it. Each of these
Boop. New chief engineer, and he is so good in this role. So it's nice to just see him from the ship driver to being the full-on engineer. So if you haven't gathered it yet, or if you haven't seen my other Star Trek The Next Generation reviews, basically I just go through the episode like it's a book club and it's my turn to talking about some stuff I noticed, some stuff I liked, and just basically talking about the episode. So I'd love to have a discussion with you about this episode in the comments or in real life if we're in proximity. All right, so I get that this extra or this crew person is working real hard, but I'm not sure what they're going for with the makeup. All right, so look at this guy's head. So I don't know if they're trying to just make him sweaty because he's working so hard or what, but they either used a spray bottle on his head or put Vaseline on him.
Just waiting to insert the modules.
Look at that. So Picard gets in the elevator, or whatever the Star Trek word is for it. I don't think it's turbo lift. Is it turbo lift? Or is that Star Wars? Anyway, and Crusher goes in there with him. And so then they're he's not looking at him, but he's deeply staring into his eyes. And Picard even walks away from him a little bit, but I think it's so he can actually talk to him. And then he breaks the silence. Picard's the one that breaks the silence.
Sorry, this mission will delay your reunion with your mother.
So he talks about having mixed feelings about leaving a ship, and then he so he's it's going to be hard, and he's mixed feelings for all of us, but then he generalizes it.
It's always hard leaving any ship.
And then he brings it back. Talk about the mom, and
left to become head of Starfleet Medical. But moving from one assignment to another is part of the life which you're choosing.
Thank you, Space Dad. He just has such good leadership, interpersonal and also command. But even if the show did not respect Gates McFadden, they seemed to, at this time anyway, she comes back, but they seem to respect her character by having her become head of Starfleet Medical, which is cool. It's not it's oh, where's that other doctor? Oh, she wasn't good enough for the Enterprise, and so now her son's going to leave too. So even though she left the series, and there you can go online and see why she did that, I think it's still cool that at least in the show they honored her character. Kind of like Tasha Yar. I feel she pieced out really early, but anytime she comes up, it's with reverence and appreciation and friendship, and when Picard, when he talks about being with her in the very season finale, he sits down and it's they miss her, even though she was only in a handful of season 1 episodes. And then Wesley says something that I think probably made Picard very happy.
But this isn't any ship.
Yeah, look at this. Turns, looks him deep in the eyes.
How true.
How true, and walks off. But I just think, like if you get a couple minutes with Picard, like he is going to be a genuine person with you. You know, he might be busy and stressed and whatever, but in this conversation, like where he said this isn't any ship and he just like looks him right in the eyes, like you feel like he's genuinely being with this person. Also, this may be the son of the person he's in love with. I definitely ship Picard and Crusher, Beverly Crusher. Yeah. If you haven't read, then I think it's a novella. It's called Q Are Cordially Uninvited. It's a book that takes place after the series that is about the wedding of Picard and Crusher. And it is awesome, and that is my headcanon. Because I don't think it's real canon, but it is a great book. You should read it. And then it cuts to this spicy shot here. Look at this, through the window, you see Picard coming down the hall. And then the 10 forward doors have those big cool windows. But that's just like a cool, spicy cinematography there.
Guinan.
You must be Captain Picard.
Here's Pulaski's
Dr.
introduction.
Protocol may have been lax in your last assignment, but here on the Enterprise...
Sit down, Captain. You'd better listen to this.
Oh. So like I said at the beginning, they introduce her, right? Because we all miss Beverly, but they introduce her being like, look, she's competent and she's solving like an issue that's going on right now on the ship. And so it's kind of a cool thing because Picard goes down there to get her in trouble because she's in 10 forward, but then she's actually dealing with a medical thing right now. So she's actually working. All right, this is called a Pulaski. I don't know if you gathered that, but this is a wildland firefighting tool. This is one I need to restore and repair. I need to put some shims in there to make it stay on there and sharpen it and either get a new handle or sand this one and lacquer it. Anyway, this is one of the tools. Well, not that tool, because that tool is very old, but that is similar to the tools that I used when I was a wildland firefighter. So I think it's cool that her name was Pulaski. And the tool Pulaski has a cool history if you want to look it up. The name of it anyway. And this is an awesome Troi episode. Like, she does really good. Actually, everybody in this whole show, like this episode in particular, but Troi is a great actress in this episode where she gets impregnated by an alien, and then in the next scene, you see Riker's reaction. Look at his face.
This is a surprise.
Ooh, imzadi.
More so for me.
Do you feel betrayed, imzadi? Anyway, so she's sitting there like all solemn, and all these people are like talking about her.
The second exam 1 hour later. Now it's consistent.
Now, as they're doing this briefing, Pulaski's doing this briefing and explaining like the growth of this baby, right? Because it's super accelerated. Like, it starts to go in. It doesn't really, kind of goes into her perspective. Like, the sound kind of gets different, and you just hear like everybody talking about what should be done with this
Except
thing.
for the fact that it appears that the fetus
Watch
is
this.
several weeks older. Right.
All right,
for
here we
a
go.
Megazord is 10 months.
Here goes imzadi being a
I
little
don't
bit
mean
grumpy.
to be indelicate, but who's the father?
Look, we're not together anymore, but I'm Riker and I have a beard now and I deserve to know. Right here. So it goes into like this weird dialogue and it's zooming in on her, and you just start to hear everybody, like Worf's like, let's abort it. And then Data's like, let's let it be birthed so that we can study it. And like they're all just like arguing about what to do with her fetus. So I'm not sure if by looking at little pictures of the scans that she gets an attachment to it or if she feels anything telepathically, but mother's intuition, I don't know, but she gets a connection with this fetus and she tells this whole boardroom off who's trying to decide what to do with her thing.
Do whatever you feel is necessary to protect the ship and the crew.
But
know this. I'm going to have this baby.
wow, way to take a stand, Troi. Which honestly kind of freaks people out because they're like, this is an alien that showed up. Like, we don't know what's going to happen here. But I think it's cool and interesting that, because a lot of these episodes turn into like horror episodes, right? And you're like, what's going on? But like with her, she's like, no, I'm gonna do this thing. And everyone's kind of freaked out and a little worried for the safety, to the point where when the baby's born, they have Worf there with a security crew. All right, now everything with Data from here to the birth of the baby is pure Data character development awesomeness. So Data is kind of the Spock of this show, right? And the whole thing with Spock is that he was hiding his emotions, and then a little bit, and sometimes each episode, something would come out where you're like, you have emotions, Spock, you're just keeping it down. Data's similar. He's an android, and so it's much easier to dismiss and just be like, no, he's programmed that way, he can't have it. But like Spock, emotions come out. And watch his face right now when Troi asks him to help. Okay? So obviously he's concerned for her. Watch his face. Maybe I'll make an interpretation of it. Maybe I'm overdoing it, but just look at his face here when she asks for his help.
Dana,
Watch this.
would you help me get to sick bay?
Look at his face right there. All right. I propose that his face right there is a common face of early Data. It's the wonder face, like I'm gonna experience some great human thing, right? He has this wonder face that he does, but I think there's a slight smile there, like, wow, I'm like, he's honored, he's flattered, he's feeling something, and you're gonna see it definitely again a couple times throughout this like labor scene. Okay, so watch as he escorts her.
How frequent?
Watch how he's looking at her.
Very close together.
Look how attentive
In
he
my
is.
other deliveries, except for a couple, the father was always present.
Difficult under the
He's just being
circumstances.
ultra
Perhaps I
attentive.
could serve in that capacity.
Counselor Troi is going to need the comfort of a human touch and not the cold hand of technology.
Doctor, I think Commander Data will do very nicely.
Your choice.
Well, oh, look at that. We caught him. We caught you, Data. You think you don't have feelings? What is that? It's a feeling. He's happy and flattered and honored that she chose him. And look at that smile. She, at this point, she knows him and probably knows him as more than just a machine. So, again, showing emotion throughout the scene is pretty cool. All right, we're going to get into some awesome early Data-isms right here where he's very childlike and he's just going to ask Troi like a million questions right here. And watch how he tilts his head when he asks her. It's very, very childlike. Okay, here he goes. He's just going to lay on questions on
Although
her.
I understand, in technical terms, how
Talk
life is
faster and
formed,
faster.
there's still a part of the process which eludes me. The child inside you. Are you able to access his thought process? Does he have
Let's
thoughts?
see.
You are aware of him. Is he aware of you? When does that awareness begin?
It's happening.
How does it...
Do you see that? He's like, his head's going side to side and he's like getting closer and closer and talking faster and faster. I love that. And honestly, his questions, when does awareness begin? Like, those are questions we have. So like, again, he's doing something very human. I mean, can you access its thoughts? I don't know if he's speaking to her as a betazoid or just to her, like, because they're connected and he thinks in like robot terms, like you can access thought processes. Anyway, I just love his childlike question bombardment of her.
Appearance.
This is where we find out that
Do you want something for the pain? It will in
This
no
is a
way
special
diminish
baby.
the experience.
we already know it's a special
I have
baby,
felt
but
no pain.
she's not even having any labor pains. All right, so we've got Worf and a security team in there. Pulaski's down there doing the work. Data's watching with admiration, and then who shows up?
Showing healthy
Ah,
respiratory movements.
Imzadi's here to watch,
Of the heart rate.
and he is just out of sight. But look at this. He loves her. Now a recreation of the birth scene. Ah, the baby's coming. Holding hands. Imzadi. Here comes the baby. Whee! All right, to me, I think this looks like a good
That's a good boy.
newborn baby thing, but my wife would probably say that baby's like 10 weeks old or a couple months old or whatever. But I always appreciate when they cover the kids in slime in these situations. Look at this. What are you thinking, Riker? What are you thinking while you're looking at this?
Oh my, he's beautiful.
He's got like a little smile on his face. He's watching with wonder. Data's blown away. Okay. And here she's holding this alien baby. But look at her.
Are easy births the
According to my mother,
Look at that. She loves this thing. Alright, here comes Riker. I'll tell you what I think he's thinking. Watching her holding a baby. He compliments her. And, oh, a little kiss. I'll tell you what he's thinking right here. He's thinking, I want to have babies with this Deanna Troi. That's what he's thinking.
trauma.
Okay, talk about the
It
baby
was
birth.
effortless for both of them.
Listen to this.
Had her baby yesterday. If I were to examine her now, I would not be able to tell she had a baby or had ever had a baby.
All right, so I think this is what every Instagram lady wants, is they want, or what they're afraid of. They're afraid to have a baby and not be able to go back to Instagram. This is what they want to hear. Boop. They want to hear that they had their baby and there's no trace of it. So Deanna Troi can get right back to her Instagram followers. So it's always good to see O'Brien in this show. But look at the graphics on the transporter panel. It's pretty awesome.
Data, the first
Love
batch is
this.
in place, and we're ready for the next.
Here we go. You go, O'Brien. Hang in there. Your life's going to get real hard.
You'll inform me when loading is.
Anyway, I think it's cool that like the light goes as they slide their hand up. All right, so this scene between Guinan and Wesley is awesome on lots of levels. One, they're both really great actors right here, but two, where they are. So they're in 10 forward at the front of the ship, and just very casually, the ship goes to warp speed, and it's just like no big deal. They're just looking out the window. You know, no one's thrown against the wall or whatever. Obviously, there's the artificial gravity in there. So another reason it's cool is because Guinan is once again, yes, but what do you want to do? I don't know, I'm just a kid, I'm so smart. You need to make decisions for you, Wesley Crusher. So she's once again being like the wise sage of the ship and helping him make a decision to benefit himself and not just do what's expected. But this scene right here, his acting, like look at this. So he's about to leave, but he comes back to say thank you.
Thanks. For a dish of Dovlarian souffle? No, not for
Look at his
the
face.
souffle. I meant for the rest.
Look at that.
That's why I'm here. Thanks.
Look at that amazing, sincere, and sweet acting right there. That is completely believable. He is so good in this show. Like, no kidding. I think maybe I was bugged by him when I was little, but as a grown-up, I really like him in this show, like, more and more. And that, like, him just saying thanks for, like, talking with him, like, one, that was sweet of the character and genuine, but, like, his face, like, you look at his face, like, man, the show has really great acting from young Wesley Crusher all the way up. So one of the things I love about watching this show on Blu-ray is that when they pull up these little screens, like, it is crystal clear, like, you can read everything that's on there. And I love pausing it and going frame by frame and just seeing like what are they saying on there, you know? Let's see what the next one says. So you can pause my screen and read it yourself. Look at that. So it's just the little details like that in this show just make it so good and just make this show like timeless and make it hold up. So all 7 seasons of this show on Blu-ray are some of the absolute best money that I've ever spent in my life. So highly recommend. They're so good. Just from the remastering to the new special effects to all the special features and the fact that you can just see so much of the amazing production value of the show. And in some cases you can see the seams and, you know, you can see some mistakes and stuff, but it just makes it more endearing. But I tell you what, I would love a 4K of this. And as I stand really close to the TV and I can see a little bit of the flaws or the limitations of the Blu-ray. Now I think they only scanned it at 1080p, but looking at how there's some compression artifacts and some clumpy grain and stuff, I think 4K, even though it'd be a 2K upscale, I think would be really awesome for this show. So let's do it, please. I would buy it so hard. So it's actually really sad because even though Troi has only been with this little boy for a short time, right? Because he's grown up, you can see her. She's like making food for him. She's like, you can tell she's really taking on to this mother role, even though she's like, why are you here, alien person? And, you know, they believe that once he gets old enough to cognitively understand and explain it, that he will. But she loves this little kid, and it absolutely comes through in the acting and in the writing. But this scene stands out to me for a different reason. Riker, aka Jonathan Frakes, his eyes in this scene, there's a part where he's in the background out of focus, like it's focused on Data, and he looks up and his eyes are so blue.
Commander,
Look at
the
this.
child is the source of the unusual radiation.
Ian said he's the reason.
Okay, look
That
at Riker's
analysis
eyes.
is correct.
You see how blue those things are? My goodness. But even though it's sad and she's essentially losing her child, she's only had him for a few days, but still, she's sad. Man, look at those baby blues. My goodness. There's still a satisfying end to their relationship right here. Turns back into his glow ball form. And she's looking, she's sad, she's crying, but then there's a little smile. Right there. And so this show is like, to me, this show is my comfort food. It's just, this show can make most things in the world better that I'm going through. Just this ending here where it's like, oh man, it's sad, she's losing her kid. And it's like, no, he's saying goodbye and he's saying thank you. And she's like having closure. She's going to miss him, but like, that's pretty satisfying as far as a departure goes. Then I like that he just boops through the wall instead of through the window. Maybe subvert expectations there. Bonk. Because he doesn't need to go through the window. He's an alien. All right. Okay, maybe I praised the writing too hard. I think
Thank you, Lieutenant.
I really, really wanted Riker to go give her a hug
Right.
or something. So then she explains what kind of alien it is and what it's doing there and stuff. And I'm like, let's go, Riker, go give her a hug or pat her on the shoulder or something. Nope. Peace out. They all just leave her alone in her quarters to deal with this. So, not that The Force Awakens is any like example of anything. Well, I guess in this case, there's a part where like Han dies and Chewbacca comes back and him and Leia just walk by each other. And it's like, why didn't they hug, right? So it's kind of like in here. It's like, wait, why didn't... Like, that would be a time for Riker to go over there and just give her a big old hug. Like, even if they want to keep it, like, platonic, they could have him go over there and give her a big old hug while there's still the other people in the room. But it's just, I thought it was so interesting that they all just leave. And then she's like, okay, back to single lady ship life. Like, enjoy living in this room by yourself again. So, I really wish he would have gone over and hugged her. That's my critique with this episode. So this ending scene's a little bit cheesy where they're all going through talking. They're kind of tricking Wesley, being like, I don't know if you can stay on the ship, because he made the decision to stay on the ship instead of leave with his mom. But they're kind of tricking him. They're like, I don't know, like someone's gonna have to tuck you in at night. We're gonna have to raise you, and so each member of the crew's like, I'll do that, right? So it's like super cheesy, and Troi is sitting there smiling. So again, it's like just building this like family culture of this crew, and I really like what Picard says here.
Difficult decision. Yes, I can do that.
Mr. Crusher, communicate with your mother at
Okay.
Starfleet Medical Headquarters. Give her my regards and tell her that you have my permission
Regards.
to remain on the Enterprise. But I will abide by her wishes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I
like that. So he's like, give her my regards, and it's like, just your regards, Picard. But I like that he says, like, yes, you have my permission, but your word would override my authority as a captain. Like, I really think that's him showing respect for her as a mother, but also as a person and a close friend that he has. So I actually like that. And then it's kind of a cheesy ending where he stays on the ship, but I think it's awesome. This is a great episode. So I miss the Bevs, but Pulaski, she does pretty good, even though she's pretty cold and treats Data like a machine and stuff as she learns more about him. But anyway, I think this episode is awesome, and it's a great start to season 2. So let me know what you think of this episode, and if you like this review style, I'd love to discuss with you in the comments. Let me know what you think, and subscribe if you like this kind of thing. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye.